So today's interview is with 3 times Olympian, 2 times Olympic silver medalist, Peak Performance USA owner, and coach Juan Moreno. Hello, sir. How are you? How's the weather in Miami?
Doing great. The weather is a little sunny. Got a little rain looking in the forecast, but 28 degrees, 29 degrees, not too bad. I can deal with it.
Okay, yeah. I would love that right now, to be honest. Scotland's not too warm. It's okay, but it's certainly not 29.
Yeah, we're lucky here.
Okay, good. So if you don't mind, could you give us a little of your background of your life? As I'm sure the listeners know you, but probably don't know the extent of your Taekwondo life, to be fair. So
Sure. Yeah. I just, obviously I started martial arts many years ago. I started when I was about 9 years old. I'm 49 now. So I just had a birthday in April. And, literally I started just because I loved them. I loved the martial art movies at a time when I was growing up. There was the Bruce Lees and the Chuck Norrises and these kind of people on TV. And so I, as a young boy, I ran around, jumped and kicked and punched. And my grandfather used to take me to a local rec center called the YMCA, and I would box. They would just put us in the ring and we put gloves on and we would just box. They didn't know what we were doing, but we would box. Mm-hmm. I played all different sports. I played hockey, soccer, basketball, baseball. I played everything. So I was an athletic kid. My brother was an athlete. My sisters were both athletes. So it was kind of, competition was in our blood. But when the story goes is I was actually off season from hockey. And in the old days, there was a little strip mall. There was a hot dog stand, a video arcade, and there was a martial arts school. And me and my brother and my father, we stopped at this place to get a bite to eat. We ate. And when I finished, I walked down and I kind of was looking in the window, and it was a martial arts school. My dad talked to the instructor. We went back there that night, and that was it. It could have been karate, could have been kung fu, could have been whatever. It happened to be Taekwondo, and I fell in love. It took the place of all the other sports that I, competed in. The only sport that I continued with was your football, our soccer in America. Okay, yeah. I played that all the way through high school, and everybody says, "Oh, you liked it because it was kicking." Not necessarily. I just, for some reason, I liked it. I don't know why, but I continued playing that. I still play that actually nowadays. But that was it. It was just really nothing special. It was just kind of by chance. And I was fortunate to get into a good place. And before you knew it, it just consumed me and I loved it. And, the rest has been kind of history.
And so what is that history then?
So, it's a good, I right away, at that time frame, you got to think about it, back in the late 70s, early 80s, at least in America, Taekwondo was generally a predominantly male activity. Okay. A young adult, maybe 20 to 30. There wasn't many kids in there, not many women at all. So when me and my brother came in, there was very few children practicing Taekwondo at this academy. So we got good pretty quick on. The instructor liked us, people kind of liked us. And within 3 months, there was actually a local competition. And they were all going. And my instructor asked my parents, hey, could Juan and Carlos, my brother's name is Carlos, would they go? And sure, we got it. Those days we wore the equipment on our hands, equipment on our feet, and we went to the tournament. And in about 30 seconds, I lost my first match. It was a point tournament, and I just bop, and it blew my mind because I was good. Everybody told me I was good, and then my little brother, he wins like 4 or 5 matches that day. Comes back with a big trophy. He's all happy, and big brother, the macho, cool big brother, was like, I couldn't believe it. I was so disappointed, hurt, crying, all the typical things that a little kid might do. And, my father spoke with me very directly, very sternly. I come from a very disciplined background. Of course, my instructor talked to me a little bit. And a couple of months later, we had a national championship. As a yellow belt, I won a gold medal at the U.S. National Championship. And after that, it was just from there, from that year on until I stopped fighting juniors. I never lost a junior match again. I always won. But I had a little bit of a different upbringing because Taekwondo wasn't the only thing that I did. I did kickboxing, point karate fighting. Okay. You could punch a face. You could foot sweep. You could kick in the groin. It was a very physical type of fighting, of combat. So for me, sport Taekwondo was, at the time, I thought very limited and not very physical and not very tough. So between fighting point Taekwondo, point karate, Olympic style Taekwondo, kickboxing matches, we had challenge matches. I'm from Chicago, and one instructor could call the other instructor, and it was like the old days. It was like, my kid's gonna challenge your kid. You'd have a 3 to 5 round match, And it was like we were these little kids just with men and women yelling and drinking beer. And I mean, I think about it now and it was crazy.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
by the time 1988 came around, I made my first national team when I was 17 years old. Mm-hmm. And let me backtrack. In 1986 is when they decided that Taekwondo was going to be an Olympic sport. Yeah. I was doing all the other martial arts stuff, and I'm like, man, there's got to be something more special. There's got to be something different. And you know what? For some reason, wow, Taekwondo gets on the Olympic format, and that was it. From that moment on, it was just kind of like, I'm just tunnel vision. So luckily enough, I made my first Olympic team at 17 years old. I had never made a national team. I had never traveled outside the country. So, I show up to the Olympic Games, and everyone's like, this kid doesn't have a chance. This kid does. And even a lot of the coaches, even a lot of my teammates, because I was just, again, the young kid that had never been anywhere. But in my mind, in my arrogant little cocky kid from Chicago, my mindset was, and I fight 2 tournaments a week. Every week I fight 2 tournaments, and I've done that for 10, 12 years. I've got loads of experience. I mean, and I got, I'm fighting in divisions where at the time I fought in 50 kilos, and I'm fighting people 70, 75 kilos. They're punching me in the face. They're hitting me on the floor. So I'm like, what can happen when I fight a 50 kilo person? Really, there was just literally no fear for me when it came to sport Taekwondo. There really wasn't. So I know that's not, popular to say, but that was my mindset. And obviously I know how rough the sport can be and how physical the sport can be. But at that time,
for you, it was.
I was fearless. And, I got into the Olympic final.
At Changchun Gymnasium, they are ready for round 2 to begin in a binweight men's final. Gold medal bout, the U.S. versus Korea. Korean Kwantae-ho. The U.S. is Juan Moreno, only 17, and almost actually in awe of being here in Seoul.
That first time out, and it was kind of funny because, teammates were, of course, they were nice to me. I'm not going to say they weren't, but all of a sudden, match after match, you get more teammates and more people applauding and more coaches, and everybody wants a piece of it. And I think for a 17-year-old kid, I kept it in pretty good perspective. I was, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I ended up getting a silver medal there and went on to another silver medal, and it was pretty successful in my competition career. One of the strange things is that my 2 silver medals come at totally different ends of the spectrum. I mean, my first, I was a young kid not supposed to do anything. And then over the next 4 years, from Pan Am to World Cups to World Championships, I was definitely number 1 or 2 getting ready for 1992. And I got the same result. And to me, that was more devastating because now I really, truthfully expected to win and to get a second place. I mean, obviously I'm very proud of it now, but in the moment, I was, it was one of the reasons that I retired. I retired at 21 years old. Nowadays, if one of my athletes came to me and said, "Coach, I'm going to quit at 21," I'm like, "Are you crazy? You're just getting going." But at that time I had 5 full hard years of competition. I've been to 2 Olympic Games, a Pan Am. I've done all the stuff that I really set out to do. And coming off that second loss or second medal, it was like time to move on, time to do something a little different. And I took off. Actually, there was 6 years before I came back from 92, and I decided to come back in 1998. I trained for 98, 99, and I made my last Olympic Games in the year 2000. And everybody said, "Oh, Juan wants to go back for that gold medal," and it's true, of course. I mean, at this level, I wasn't there just to show up. And in 2000, I fought at the World Cup, and only in preparation for the U.S. Olympic trials, and I win the World Cup. I win a gold medal in Lyon, France, and all the big guys were there. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, holy cow, the writing's on the wall. I've been away from the sport for almost 8 years. I come back and I win the World Cup. I'm feeling pretty good. And I make the Olympic team. I show up to Australia. Of course, in those days, there's no ranking or seeding or anything like that. The brackets come out, and truth be told, the top half of the side was loaded, very tough. The bottom side, I thought, this is very good for me. This is a good situation. I go out and I lose my first match. Probably the most prepared I've ever been. Physically, no problem with weight. Studied, nutrition. It's like everything was just lined up. And I I fought poorly and I lost, you know, and it just kind of, I think it really helped me also with as I moved on to my coaching career to kind of deals with those successes and failures and kind of putting myself in that situation. So, you know,
cool.
Been very fortunate from a competitive career though. I can't complain.
No, good. I spoke to one of my friends who lives down in England yesterday, and I said, oh, I'm interviewing Juan Moreno, and he actually went to the Olympics in Seoul as well. His name was Seelan Rengazami, all right?
Okay.
Now, I'll read what he said to me, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Because it's really, I thought, you know, this is really kind of one of the reasons why I'm interviewing you as well, you know, because he's so good, you know. He said to me, yeah, when I went to Seoul, I was 21, and he was very young. Also, he sat down next to me in the stadium and he said, hi. And I replied, hi. Which weight are you and what country? He said, I'm from USA, and told me his weight. You know, I said, what happened? He said to you, what happened to Dae Sung Lee? And he said, you know, he was famous. And he said, oh, you said, I beat him in the selection. I have a lot of respect for him, but it's my time now. And it was a historical Olympics for him when he sat in the ring and everything, which we'll go on to. He said, but I was amazed at his focus and determination for such a young guy. So that's, you know, nice. That's somebody from Britain. Back then, Seelan himself was very good. And to say that about you, I thought, yeah, this is why I want to interview you, you know, to be honest.
You know, it's funny because so Dae Sung Lee was my, of course, a big adversary in the United States. And the first time I fought him was in 1986 when I was a kid. I was 15 years old. And I tell this story, I've only been afraid one time in my life to be in a fight. Really. I mean, I don't say that bravado wise, but I told you I had a lot of confidence. And I won my first round match by knockout at 15 years old, my first time fighting in the senior adults, and won a knockout. So I go up there and the referees bring us together. And there's this guy, and it's Dae Sung Lee. I don't even know who the guy is. Yeah. He has no protection on his arm, no protection on his shins, just nothing. And they're like, they ask me to bow out, to not fight because they think that he's going to hurt me. Okay. And I'm looking at him and he's just staring at me the whole time. And I'm looking at my coach. I'm like, oh my God. And so he looks at me and goes, no, we just practice. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to kill me. Yeah. So I go into the match and I remember kicking by him and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I want to hit this guy because if I hit him, he might get pissed off and he might really take advantage of me. Of course, he beat me there. He beat me another time in the United States. But when 1988 came along, I went to the national championships and I showed up and he wasn't on the bracket. He was taking a wild card into the Olympic trials. And I was mad because I came there to fight him. Mm-hmm. I won a gold medal and everybody said, oh, congratulations, but Dae Sung wasn't there. So we get to the Olympic trials. I win my first 4 matches. He wins his first 4 matches. We're going to meet in the final. But it doesn't matter because the final 2 have to fight 1 month later. Okay. I go to the ring, and I'm ready to fight. He doesn't come to the ring. And everyone's like, oh, you don't have to fight because you – I go, no, I want to fight. So cocky. No, I'm like, no, I'm ready to fight. You don't have to fight. No, I want to fight right now. He didn't fight. So to me, this is the second time that he didn't fight me. And of course, we get to the Olympic trials 1 month later, and I beat him. And of course, it was big shockwaves in the United States. Yeah. Kind of, it got along to the world level. But a great story is I actually moved out to the Olympic Training Center the next year where he was the coach. And he became my coach, one of my mentors. And to this day, a very, very good friend of mine that, like, I knew there was, even though I won in that moment, there was so much more development growth that I needed. And I knew that he could be the guy to give it to me. So yeah, he became my coach.
Excellent. So going back to the 88 Olympics, I mean, obviously the decision, your mind, your reaction, how did it affect your life and your training and also how you are as a coach now? Yeah,
I think that a lot of times people ask me, what would I change? And, you know, I haven't had the perfect life. I haven't had the perfect upbringing. I definitely had my fair share of challenges, but I wouldn't change anything because I really believe things happen for a reason. And I believe if I would have won that match, in the moment, I thought I won that match. If you still talk to me technically, intellectually about the match, and you want to break down the errors, I still think I won that match.
I wanted the goal. I didn't come all this way to be second best, and I don't feel I was.
But if I won that match, I wouldn't have been the same person. I wouldn't have been as focused. I wouldn't have been as single-minded. Matter of fact, I may have been done with the sport. I may have went on to college. I may have done a different profession altogether. But that that moment was defining for me because it just solidified how much more I wanted to do, how much more I felt like I had to prove. And I wasn't, I don't want to use the word, I wasn't happy with the performance. I wasn't happy with the outcome. And I just felt like there was more to give me. So it was definitely tough. It was definitely something that I didn't agree with in the moment. But like most things, it was definitely a life learning experience, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I get more, you know what? If I would have won that match, I would probably be less famous because more people asked me about it and asked me how I dealt with it, because it was definitely controversial. Let's use that word.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, good. So at 27, you opened Peak Performance USA. It was previously called Team Miami. What was your vision, and how did it expand to 16 teams all across America?
Yeah. So, I knew I wanted to be a coach. I mean, I even after 92, people sought me to help them with this, help them with that. And one of my good friends was like, Juan, he goes, there's things that you just do instinctively, things that you just, something you just have a feel for fighting. Maybe no one taught you, maybe they did taught you, but somehow you have a feel. Your challenge is going to be, how do you take what you know inherently and give it to other people? How do you have a systematic approach? And, I was still young when the first time they told me that. And I was like, okay, whatever. And when I started coaching, I knew I liked to help people. I knew I was just kind of like a giver. I had taught classes since I was 11 years old. And all of a sudden, here I am on the cusp of creating a team. And at the beginning, I created a team by leading by example. Mm-hmm. I had to learn how to be a coach. But at the beginning, I trained every day with the guys. I tried to beat up every single person that walked in my gym. I ran faster than them. I ran longer than them. I kicked more than them. I mean, that was just how I was built. And that was my way of leading by example, of showing them how it was done. Obviously, as I grew a little bit older, I realized the more that I'm training, the less I'm focusing on the people around me. So but it was hard for me. It was hard for me to kind of pull myself back. But I did it humbly at the beginning. I rented a little bit of a warehouse that now, Warehouse 15. It was just a warehouse that happened to be number 15 on it. And I thought I would have about 5 to 10 people that wanted to train the way that I thought people needed to train. And because of that, I supplemented the cost of operating that business with a kickboxing program and a little kids Taekwondo program. And I didn't have many. I had about 20 kickboxers and 20 little kids, but it was enough to keep the doors open and train my guys how I wanted to train. And I'll tell you what, it just went very quickly in Miami, very quickly. And I had some people that had been doing seminars. I mean, I built my living doing sports seminars around the country. And one of my good friends, one of my business partners today, Coach Oi Lee, he came to me and he said, I want what you have. I want you to have my club to be like your club. But he lives in Minnesota. He lives a 4-hour flight. And took me some time to think about it. And I came up with a formula of how I could commit to his people, how I could see his people, how I could work with him as a coach. And then what I did is I went to 3 other people that I've done seminars for years, and I kind of gave them the same concept. They were like, I'm all in. Instead of having you once a year, we'd love to have you more. Of course, there's a price tag with that. There's a change of, whatever. And we started with 4, and I kept it for 4 for a number of years because I was still trying to grow. And quality was more important than quantity. If I wanted to, even to this moment, if I wanted to have 20 peak performance places, I probably could. But then I wouldn't have as much control and be able to kind of see everybody. So literally we grew it very, very slowly. I had an old school vetting process where, somebody would come up to me and say, hey, I want to join Peak Performance. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, give me a call. They would call, they would email, they'd write. Probably 6, 8, 10, a year later, oh, how's it going? Yeah, we still want to do it. I'll tell you what, let's set up a seminar. Let me come out there. Let me see. 6, literally it would take 2 to 3 years before I let somebody come in because I didn't want the knee-jerk reaction like, oh, you're popular or you're kind of in the mode right now, so they want it and leave. Because I learned. I had 2 people, 1 program. I went out there, great, a lot of kids, good athletes. They told me everything I wanted to hear. I made it. A year later, they were gone. Out of business, instructor done, whatever. So I learned from that moment, and then I moved forward. So, you know, right now we're proud to have these programs. We're opening up a little bit internationally. And it's, you know, I'm very proud to say that we've been doing that since 2001. You know, here we are in 2020. It's not been a 5-year run. It's not been a couple hot athletes. You know, it's been every year consistently putting people on national teams and winning international medals. So it's been, I'm very, very proud and happy with that. But more proud that now my coaches that I've developed, their programs rival my programs here in Miami. At the beginning, for a number of years, Miami was the Mecca. You came here and it was different than every other place. But now I have some coaches out there. They're well educated. They have good experience. Their athletes are the same, and they're every bit as good as the talent that I have here in Miami.
Yeah, good. Excellent. So during lockdown, obviously we're in lockdown just now. Personally, we have to homeschool our kids. Do you have to homeschool your kids over there as well? You have 4 daughters, yeah?
Yes, I have 4 daughters. My oldest is in the university, so you know, she came home from university. My other 3 daughters are definitely doing homeschool. I mean, they're having abbreviated schedules. I mean, my youngest daughters are going to finish up here in about 20 minutes. You know, so it's been obviously, just like everybody, it's been a little bit of a challenge, but thankfully my daughters are pretty good students. I don't know if they didn't get that from me, but pretty good students, academic students, and they do well in their studies. And so it hasn't been that difficult for them.
And your Taekwondo, obviously the warehouse, it's closed to the public just now as well, is it, over there?
Yeah, I mean, we closed in beginning of March. And right away at the beginning, just started kind of sending my athletes trainings. Of course, everybody moved to online Zoom trainings. And so right now, what I personally do with my Miami-based group, we meet 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Zoom. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I just shoot them out running programs so they can do it on their own. And yeah, we've been keeping along pretty good.
Yeah, good, excellent. So you attended, like we said earlier, you attended 3 Olympics. You got 2 silver medals, right? So the Olympics were the 88, 92, and 2000 that you said. Then you continued attending Olympics as a coach, okay? And also, you've been the national coach, you've been the head coach, you've been the team director. So how does each of the experiences different in each job title? Which was your favorite?
You know, I went to so in 2000, after I retired, in 2004, I actually was hired by the Greek Olympic Committee to do the in-venue announcing. And it was an awesome experience for me because even though I was coaching at the time, I got to work from the administrative side, really behind the scenes, because the athletes, you know, compete, the coaches coach, the directors kind of figure out where to go. But all of a sudden, I am part of the Olympic Committee movement to produce the Olympic Games. It was a really, you know, I thought I knew a lot from competing in the Olympic Games, but to see it from an administrative standpoint was really, really awesome. And I think it actually helped me coach in 2008, 2012, 2016. Obviously, every Olympic Games, people ask me which is my favorite Olympic Games. I think every Olympic Games has its own unique charm. And sometimes certain situations are more special than the other, you know? And when I say charm, it could be a bad experience. It could be something that you remember and say, I don't want to repeat that experience. I mean, obviously 2000, the result was not good, but to have my family and friends and to enjoy the process was groundbreaking from 92 and 88. You know, when I started coaching in 2008, if you recall in the United States, the Lopez family were hitting on all cylinders. And that's when their family was doing extremely well. Their brother was coaching them. So I played even though before that, I coached at the World Championships everywhere else, but at the Olympic Games, I played a huge support role in scouting, warming people up, making sure they had everything that they needed. So I had to humble myself and step back and say, listen, this is not my show right now. Even though I'm at the Olympic Games, even though I'm credentialed as a coach, I learned to play a significant role in a team concept. And I think that's very hard for a lot of alphas to do, right? We all think we know everything and we want to do everything. But I had no problem, you know, sitting in the background. I had no problem, you know, giving water. I had no problem going, look, I watched this match and this match and this match. Be careful for that. Coach, you guys make the decision. But that was my role in 2008, which helped me in 2012. In 2012, obviously, I had we had 4 athletes, you know, qualify. 2 were mine, and we had the only 2 medals. And I feel like being an athlete, being an administrator, being a back, behind the scenes coach, I was, technically I was, my first time sitting in the chair at the Olympic Games, but I mean, I was like a lion, a caged animal. I couldn't wait to get on that floor. I couldn't wait to be there with my athletes. And I knew we were the underdogs, just like I was in 1988. My guys were not heralded. They weren't, picked to win. They were just Olympic level athletes. But, days can be special, moments can be special. And to get two athletes to the podium was, one was surreal. Two was just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And so as a national coach, you must have coached some amazing athletes as well. So which athlete sticks in your mind and why?
Yeah. Oh, that's a tough one because, I think each level gives you a different gratification. Obviously, when you're at the high level, Olympic or world championship level, you're dealing with generally speaking, finely tuned athletes, and being able to tweak them a little bit and have them get the result. I mean, it's very satisfying. And once again, nobody sees it, right? They see the athlete on the medal. They're the ones signing the autographs. And that was me. That was me at one point.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, if I can just call one point or I can get them to think one way, and all of a sudden they're successful. I walk back to the holding area and the athletes signing the autographs, taking the pictures and hugging the babies and kissing the babies. And so that's very gratifying for me. But that junior level and cadet level is also special because you realize what kind of impact that you can have. I mean, we always say we have impact on the top level athletes. And I think, of course we do. But when you're with those kids, they look at you as stars. They look at you a lot differently. They trust you inherently more. They look for your leadership inherently more. They don't know as much, so you can give them more pieces, more nuggets. And so, again, to say my favorite athlete is very difficult for me because they all give me different things. I mean, here in Miami, I have an athlete. I have two athletes two male athletes from a long time ago. One, his name was Rufus Hamm, and he was my first athlete that trained with me in my garage. Came to me, poor kid, would come with boiled eggs to eat. And this guy is a beast. He's a legend in Miami. He's a legend in the warehouse. I mean, people are like, the guy was just amazing. And then Tony Graff made the national team many years and, done well. He's done well internationally. He's like my son/brother. He's a great business here in Miami. Both with CrossFit and Taekwondo.
Okay.
He was the one that kind of put peak performance on the map. But I just have so many great female athletes that they're just kind of like robots. I kind of do go left, go right, kick high, kick low, and have a great relationship with all of them. So it's awesome.
Yeah, so it's difficult to pick one. Yeah, I understand difficult. That. I do understand.
And if I did and any of them saw this interview, I'd be in trouble. So I got to take the fifth on that one.
That's it. Yeah. Absolutely. So you run an international program. So how does it work? I mean, which athletes are you currently working with, and how can somebody who's interested get in touch with you?
So it was a little interesting and easy because obviously Miami is it's a port town, right? It's it's very close to Central America and South America. Obviously, Miami is a very Hispanic and Latin culture. So you have Cubans, Venezuelans, Colombians, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans. You have the gamut here. So that was here before I got here, of course. But when I did get here and I started to establish my program, it was easy for people from Guatemala, Puerto Rico, or Dominican Republic to come and check it out. So we had these exchanges before exchanges were even popular. I mean, back in the day, people went to Korea. I went to Korea. Everybody went to Korea. Not many people went to other countries. I mean, a few insightful coaches, but not really. Yeah. But I just, luckily, it wasn't by design. I'll admit that people were coming here. So very quickly, I had university students that were from Guatemala on the national team or Puerto Rico or Dominican, and they just started training in Miami. So we already had this international feel. People would come to my gym and are like, who's that guy? I'm like, yeah, you don't know him. He's from Dominican Republic, but he's a monster, So we just started having a lot of that. And of course, Europeans, there's a ton of Germans here and Russians here and, Swedes here. There's a lot of people that would just kind of drop in. So we got this reputation of being a tough gym, a well coached gym. And so people wanted part of that. It wasn't until a little bit later, I would say in the last 5 to 10 years, where we started attracting top level athletes. And it really wasn't my focus because you're right. I was the national team coach. I was the director. So there was an inherent conflict of interest for me to just let people stay here all the time. I'm not the national team director now. I'm not the national team coach now. So I kind of have a little bit more, sometimes losing something opens you up for something else. And so, really I have, Briseida Costa from Mexico has been working with me exclusively since the beginning of 2019. Skylar Park, who qualified directly for Canada, she's been in our program since she's been a little kid, and her father's a very good friend of mine. So they spend a lot of time here. I have a Danish coach that, he brought his Olympic team here back in 2004. Instead of going to Korea, instead of going to Spain, he came to Miami with his group. And so, I work with them, and they're para athletes as well. So really it's a little bit diverse. I think the world and the culture of the Olympic Taekwondo is changing. You're seeing one-off athletes go to a lot of different coaches that maybe just have the right fit, just like football coaches from Brazil or from Europe or from Germany. You see them in every nation now because sport is universal. And Taekwondo used to not be that. It used to be you had to be a native of that. You had to be, I hate to say it, Korean. If not, there wasn't opportunities. But obviously you can look around the world and there's foreign countries or foreign coaches everywhere in every country.
And I think athletes as well, before athletes had to be in their national team, and, the national team chose who went to it as well, to the Olympics and things. But now if you're in the top 6,
it's changing. Obviously there's a benefit to being in a centralized training system. There really is. But there's some times where it's not, where it gets very stale, gets very old, and, some coaches can't relate to everybody. So that's when you're seeing these individual athletes. And I'll take it one step further, just getting to the Grand Prix, right? You don't need to be on a national team. You can hit your opens. I know we have people here in America that same thing. They're not even part of the national team anymore, but they've worked enough world ranking points and Olympic ranking points to go to Grand Prix. And before you know it, they can possibly, get to the top 6. Not easy because you still normally need the world championship points and stuff like that. But continental points, they're even opening up. They're giving wild cards to continental championships. So it's definitely expanding. Yeah.
So what other projects are you working at just now? I know you're doing a YouTube channel as well now.
Well, currently, some people know, I'm actually working for the Brazilian Olympic Committee. I'm an Olympic program consultant. I've been working with them since last year as well, since February of 2019.
Okay.
And of course, we're focused on the Olympic Games. We have a very strong team over there. Again, I'm playing a different role, more of an administrative role. I'm working with their coaches, but I value those coaches. I value the athletes. I value what they've built on. And I thought it was it would be very disruptive for me to come in and say, do it Juan's way, do it this way. And so the president and the technical director and myself, we kind of sat down and kind of figured out the best way right now. And that's why I use the word consultant. So it gives me, again, some leeway to do some things here in America. I am focusing a little bit more on international or individual athletes, where, again, I don't pay any allegiance to whether it's Mexico or USA or whatever. I'm just, if you work well with me and I work well with you and we can kind of put together a plan, then we go after it. So that's what I've, kind of been planning with the YouTube channel. Like I said in one of my little first initial speeches about it, look, of course, people have been doing YouTube channels for how long, and in all different martial arts and all different disciplines. But in the sport, I don't think there's been any great athletes or young coaches or anything like that's put in anything of real substance. And I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be hard to fill content and things like that. But I definitely want to take a chance. I mean, it's brand building for myself. It's also brand awareness for a sport of Taekwondo. You're seeing the MMA world. I mean, more and more people are kicking. Heck, the guy that just beat Tony Ferguson, if you look at his coach, he's a Korean descent. He's a Taekwondo guy.
Okay.
He's a Taekwondo guy. And he had the whole camp, and he just became the interim champion that's hopefully will fight Khabib. I mean, you're just seeing people in our sport, in our discipline, branch out. And if I can be one more instrument to that, why not? Why not?
Definitely. No, that's good. Okay, so I love one of your sayings on your website, choice, not chance. determine destiny. So you've had an amazing life so far with the sport. Do you believe it's all been choice, not chance? What advice would you give to athletes and coaches struggling just now as well? You know?
I'm a control freak. I'm definitely a control freak. I have a vision and I want to do it. And I like to control the pieces. And so for that, I would tell you choice is the most important, because you have to control everything. You have to decide where you're going. You can't let the search situation. I just think that's a loser mentality, because everybody wants to say, I could do it if I had more money, if I had a better coach, everybody uses those as built-in excuses. But the truth is, that's the same for 98% of the population. What I tell my athletes, we all have our own challenges, and you might think yours is worse than his, but it's all relevant. You know, do you know what the difference between a major surgery and a minor surgery is? A major surgery happens to me.
Yeah.
You know, I got a little surgery. You're like, that's a little one. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going in for this major surgery. You know what I'm saying? So I really believe in choice and controlling things. But I also understand that there's certain situations that whoever puts you in there. And like I said, I'm a poor kid. I came up from a little bit of a broken home. You know, I don't need to get into things. Probably more discipline than was needed. More support that probably could have been used. But in a strange way, I wouldn't change one thing. I wouldn't want the nice house. I wouldn't want to go to the nice school, because it wouldn't have piece by piece built me for who I am. And when you look at any success story, I should say 99.9% of success stories in any walk of life, business, education, sport, it's always a hard luck story. You very rarely say, yeah, I grew up and I had the best family and I had the best school and I had the best house and I had the best training, and that's why I became successful. Yeah. No, it usually doesn't happen like that. Yeah. You know, yes, we can give our kids better opportunities, but at some point, those kids need hard luck too. Yeah. They need to know what it likes to be hungry or be afraid or not have somebody to clean up the spilled milk. So I do believe in choice, but at the same moment, I know that sometimes destiny, fate puts you in certain situations, and then the choices you make will determine your success or failures.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So you over your years as a Taekwondo coach, I mean, you've met Bill Clinton, you've met George Bush Sr. Have you met any other presidents? And will you be like to meet Donald Trump?
Yeah, you know, I have, you know, there was Barack Obama was in president when we first went to the Olympic Games. We get lucky because what happens is the United States Olympic team is always invited to the White House. Mm-hmm. And listen, depending what, party you represent, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, for me, listen, I have a party that I believe in certain things, but at the same time, whoever's president, I would go just out of respect for the office, and you can like the current president, you can not like the current president, but to me, it's the president of the United States. And to me, that should, hold a certain amount of respect. So, would I go? Absolutely. But just like I would go to see anybody else. I met Ronald Reagan, and it was amazing. It's a great, that's a great conversation piece, right? And you tell someone, yeah, I met Ronald Reagan. Yeah, I met George Bush. Yeah, I met Bill Clinton. Yeah. It's amazing. So I would do that to any president of any country, not just the United States of America.
So if you could go back in time, where would you go back to and what would you do? Would you change it or would you just enjoy it all again?
I'm always I'm always worried about this because like when I was young, my parents used to say, when I was a kid, it was much better, and I say when I was a kid, we didn't have these cell phones. And I know every era wants to talk about how theirs was the golden era. But the truth was, it wasn't so good back then, right? And you could just keep going back. So I'm always cautious to say, man, I wish I was in the 80s or in the 70s. But I don't know, something about like the 40s and the 50s, something about like the way the men dressed, the way the women dressed, the way they paid attention to their again, I'm generalizing now, but their character and their respect and the way they treated adults and their seniors and stuff. Something about that seemed a little more formal to me. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm a little bit of a romantic at heart. I believe in talking to parents before you date their kid, daughter. Mm-hmm. I believe in, a man should treat his wife a certain way. Of course, love and equality, but also something about me seems like And again, I don't know, I can't say I know everything about the 40s and 50s, but I like looking at the picture. I like looking at my grandfather's picture, and I see his suit and his tie and his hair, and I'm like, man, that is a cool looking dude right there, you know?
True gentleman, you know?
Yeah, something about it. So the chivalry of it, I don't know. I mean, of course, you know, that's from my standpoint, but I know the inequality for women or inequality for people of color. Of course, I don't even know how I mean, I can't even deal with that stuff right now. I can't imagine how I deal with that. And I'm, you know, in America, I mean, I'm a Latin person, you know, so, I mean, it may not have it as bad as some people, but that would be tough. So, but I like the 40s and 50s.
Cool. When you look back through the years of Taekwondo competitions and the rule changes, what do you think? I mean, have the World Taekwondo, have they got it right, or would you change anything? I know you were on the World Taekwondo Technical Committee for a while. So. Yeah,
I think there's 3 rules that I would say undoubtedly have revolutionized the sport. Number 1, going out of bounds. Mm-hmm. You do or you don't. Not you were fighting out or you got pushed. No, you went out. That I think it's groundbreaking. 2, falling down. I know people, but it takes away from the beauty. Listen, you fall down or you didn't. And guess what? People don't fall down that much anymore, right? Exactly. Coaches and athletes are too smart. They're brilliant. And 3, the fighting at 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. Even 10 seconds was better. But the 5 seconds, the consistent action. I'm from the 80s. I'm from the 90s. I lived in what people want to say the old school. Mm-hmm. And you watch the highlight tapes, amazing. But first of all, anything you put in slow motion looks freaking good. Let's be honest. All right. Even these slow little taps nowadays. All right. That's 1. But 2, when you watch an entire match or entire division or an entire competition and you see guys 6 feet apart, you see guys checking, motion, doing nothing, and then clinch. Mm-hmm. That wasn't as beautiful as people say it was. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot to like and there's a lot to like. But I am very cautious when people say the golden era. I mean, growing up, I told you I had all these, you know, different kind of martial arts. People used to always ask me, why do you guys stand there and just bounce? Why do you guys just stand there and bounce and hug each other? And I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer when I was 17, 18, or 19. I said, because you don't understand. That's how we fight. But so I do think those 3 rules are good. Mm-hmm. The electronics, of course, you know, everybody say it's equally, it's objective versus subjective. But the truth is they don't work. You kick them once, it scores. You kick them again, it doesn't score. You go past the face, it doesn't score. And what's sad is that we've accepted that as a society, as a Taekwondo society. We've accepted that imperfection and just fight through it. We'll just keep working. I do it all the time as a coach. Choice, right? Because I have to choose to continue. But that's not right. And so for me, the one thing the WT has gotten wrong is not fixing it. Not fixing it. I don't care how much money it costs. I don't care how long it takes. We have to fix this. We have to fix this if we're going to continue. But, you know, that's that in a nutshell. But the truth is, in 2000, after 2000, in 2004, there was all this discrepancy around the Olympic Games. We are mandated to do this. I think we rushed to judgment with the La Just and with the Dado, and it's gotten better, but I think we rushed to judgment, and we never fixed the real problem at the time. And I have tons, obviously, I'm in this community for a long time. I have a lot of referees, but the problem was the officiating. Let's not call anybody out. Let's not say anybody was doing anything wrong, but we couldn't officiate our own sport. But I just don't understand that, because they can do it in basketball and baseball and football and boxing and judo and wrestling. They can do it. So why can't we? Hard task. Maybe we need to professionalize the referees. I don't know what we need to do. Well, actually, I have some ideas, but I think listen, we never fixed the real problem. That was officiating the match. And then we threw something else out there. The rules that have been good, of course, are, like I said, the 3 that I pointed out. Even the point system. I don't think the point system is good. Mm-hmm. And yes, the points will go up. And yeah, you have people doing things, but you've created a style of fight that is very limited to a certain body type, a certain athletic type. And I don't think as a fight you should ever have that. I think you should put tall, big, and I'm not talking about exceptions. I mean, Great Britain has an exception to the rule. Jay Jones, phenomenal athletes, fights giant, Paige McPherson. Yeah. You know, she fights gigantic women, but they're exceptions. That shouldn't be like that. In football, soccer, there's not exceptions. Everybody should have the possibility, especially in a combative sport. So that's a little long-winded answer for you, but there's been some good, but there's been some things that I think have been, I won't say bad, I'll say not so good, because I believe in action. People always talk to me about my business stuff. I'm like, action first. Do something, and maybe it's not perfect, but we can streamline it eventually. I like the action, but I think they just sat there. They haven't got it better, which hopefully it will take some time.
Yeah, no, good. So on your Facebook, I see photos mentioning the Warehouse 15 mindset. Can you give us a quick explanation of this mindset?
Listen, our mindset from the beginning, when I set up my peak performance team, I had a mission statement on competition, on training, on ethics, just all these different things. And one of the mindset was, we will not be outworked. We will not be, unfocused. We will not be afraid to step in the ring against, somebody bigger and better than us. And when we had these mentalities, we could train as a professional, compete as a professional, and act as a professional. That was a mindset that when you walked in the door, really, early on, I had a bunch of tough physical people, and I had to do zero, because when you walked in, I'm telling you, I don't care who you were. I don't care how good you thought you were. You didn't last. You took a beating, and it may not be popular now, but at that time, it made us tough. It made us strong. It made us willing to endure anything. And when we got to the competitions, I told you, I had a bunch of scrappers, a bunch of blue collar people, but I couldn't wait to get in the chair and kind of put my chest up and be like, I'm going to take my guy against your guy, whether we win or lose. I don't care if we lose by 20 points. Another thing in our mission was, when the person that gets off the mat with us, I don't care how much they beat us by, they have to respect us. They have to respect that we were tough, well-coached, and didn't stop. And if we lose, the next time they're going to be like, man, there's that kid again. Ooh, there's that girl again. Ooh, man, not, oh yeah, I beat him last time, I got him again. That can't happen. And that's a hard thing to do in this day and age, because the mindset of the athlete is different. It's less of a fight and more of a chess match, and very technical. So, and it's been proven, you don't need to be a tough guy. You don't need to be a tough girl to be top.
Yeah.
In our day, it was a prerequisite. In boxing, you got to be tough. You cannot be tough. You have to be tough. But nowadays, you look at some of the I don't want to name names, but you look at some of the top ranked 1s, 2s in the world, sweethearts, nice guys. They're like, they're talking to the guy before, they're talking to him afterwards, they're having a beer. I mean, in our era, not so much, not so much.
No, that's good. Yeah. So a while back, I interviewed Paul Green and Gareth Brown just before they started the USA. How are they getting on? What's your thoughts on the academy side of things?
Listen, I look at it as everybody as a professional. Of course, it was very hard for a lot of people, and it still is hard for a lot of people to understand when they came over. Number one, because it's not like we're a country that doesn't have quality coaches and quality athletes. And so it was very hard for a lot of people to deal with, me included. I wasn't even a national team coach at the time. Remember, I coached until 2012, and then Coach Patrice Remarque coached for the next 4 years. Yeah. I was on the staff, and I went with places, but I wasn't directing at all. But I was still going to world championships and Grand Prix. And so to kind of come and kind of moved out a little bit, that was, I'll be honest, it wasn't fun for me. It wasn't something that I liked. But I do treat everybody as a professional, and I have to learn. I've learned from situations in America. Look, I'm in Brazil now. The same mindset could happen. But that's why I took myself out of the chair. That's why I took myself out of the control part of it like that. They're doing good. Now, if I went to a different country that never succeeded, okay, well, that's different. Yeah. So it was a little bit hard. I don't have anything to do with the American Taekwondo. Yeah. I mean, I still have people go through their system, but I'm not involved in it. Okay. Zero. Yeah. Obviously, I have a ton of respect for Paul. Mm-hmm. I mean, how he developed Jade, how he was able to replicate that with Bianca and even Lauren. Maybe not as long as he wanted. But listen, there's some genius there. And I have a lot of respect for him. Gareth, I didn't know so much. I think he's a passionate guy. I think he's doing a decent job over here, but I can't comment on him as much. But listen, professionals are professionals. They got to do what they got to do. Like I said, even though it was a little bit difficult to take, no ill will. I just, I wish everyone the best. It doesn't do anything good to like wish bad upon people. Fate is karma's a mofo, man. So you don't want to do that.
Okay. So over here, because we're on lockdown, we've all been watching Netflix.
Yeah.
And I've heard that you've been watching The Tiger King. How did you find that? And have you been watching anything else?
I'm embarrassed to say I watched that, but there's just nothing else to do. So I'm a mafia and gangster buff. Yeah, and I don't know if it's from Chicago, where I grew up, the people I kind of grew up with. It's, Chicago, Al Capone, a city that was, kind of has a history of corruption back in the day. But I've always been fascinated by, it's kind of crazy. I've never been in love with like the people themselves, but just how they're able to do all these great business things, but just didn't channel it anywhere else. They did it with bad things, So I've always been, listen, I watched, of course, Peaky Blinders, which is over there. Of course, I watched Ozark. I watched Narcos, which is a Netflix here about Colombia and Mexico. Yeah. Even not, I like the, kind of not a mafia type thing, but Casa de Papel, which is called Money Heist. It's from Spain. Okay. There's a couple Spanish ones that I watch as well. So, but I would, listen, Ozark is very good. It starts from Chicago, and this guy has to launder money for a cartel, not because he wants to, because his partner got involved in something. Very, very good. Mm-hmm. I did watch, I really liked it, Marco Polo on Netflix. Okay. Marco Polo is about the Mongols. And Marco Polo, when he went to China, fascinating. I thought it was pretty good. And I just watched the Ottoman Empire. There's only one season.
I'm not sure if we've got that one. I'll have a look.
Yeah. So I like history, and I like to kind of see how things, how leaders. I mean, think about it. All these happen to be about leaders when you think about it, and you see their good times, their bad times, how they bring people in, how they keep people off, and so. Yeah. It might be with the mafia and the gangsters, but I like it.
Oh, cool. So Paige McPherson and Brasida Acosta, they both qualified for the Olympics. They're currently staying in the Peak Performance Athlete House, along with another athlete, Quinn Simpson. How is their preparation going? And how does it work in the US? Will Paige eventually have to go to the academy, or can she continue to stay at Peak Performance training in the warehouse?
Yeah, so, I mean, we got lucky because we were in Costa Rica at the Olympic qualifier. Obviously, a lot of the Asian and European qualifier, they haven't even happened. So we got lucky. We were the last event. And we were there. And, of course, we came right back. And then everything got shut down. So, of course, we did our due diligence. We stayed. Everybody stayed. I mean, my peak house is literally a block and a half away from my personal house. And it's about a mile and a half from our gym. We could throw a rock to it. It's really not that far. So, as soon as everything broke, I told you I have a good friend, athlete, former athlete. He has a gym. So I went out there and I got my bars. We got kettlebells. We got stuff. And I put some here and I put some at my gym because I didn't know if they were going to even let us move around. But since Briseda and Paige were together, since we were all quarantined together, that's kind of like our family. They come over on the weekends and we have a little barbecue and kind of hang out and play games. But every day we train together. So I'm trying, what I've done is to sit down with them and say, okay, listen, we got a year now. We got some time. So we don't know when opens are going to go. We don't know when it cuts. So what I don't want to do is stress your body out and stress your brain out. So we make sure that we divide our trainings up very balanced. We try not to get too intense. This has been a shot in the arm because when was the last time these athletes, I'm going to speak specifically about mine, but almost the rest of the world, didn't have to compete every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, bumps and bruises. Now all of a sudden they can get healthy. Now all of a sudden we can work on some things. We can build some real strength because periodization is gone. Yeah, definitely. It's gone. But all of a suden we have some times where, hey, we could take this block of time, and we can actually put some things into play. So for Briseda and Paige to have each other they were training partners before, but to have them, and then, you know, one guy, Quinn Simpson's not a high level athlete, but he's a male athlete that can kind of push them and do some things. And so we just, you know, my wife's a coach as well, you know, so she works with them too. So we've been lucky. They've been lucky to be able to continue their, I tell you what, if they had to compete next week, they could compete next week.
Yeah.
That's how fresh they are right now. And not because they're anxious to, but because they've done the right thing. You know, with all my online training, I said there's 4 areas of training that everyone really has to think about. You have the physical, fitness, and I'm not getting specific about speed, strength, power. I'm just saying physical, your physical ability, your technical ability, your ability to kick and control your leg, your action, reaction, which is your distance and timing. That's going to be a problem. And then your last one is your mental makeup, your attitude, your focus. Are you studying? Are you doing those right things? I guess you could throw nutrition in there, right? But really, there's 4. 3 out of the 4 we can control. Obviously, the action reaction is going to be a little hard because you don't have a lot of live partners, a lot of live sparring. But when this thing breaks, my message has been, guys, we should be okay. We shouldn't be that far off. If you guys come back into the gym and you're for crap, you're out of shape, your cardio's not good, your skill is not good, we got a problem. You're not as focused as I thought you should be. So that's really, I've been trying to keep that mindset with everybody. Take 3 out of the 4, we should be okay. You know, nutrition, go ahead and eat a little bit, get a little fat right now. There's, you know, we don't have anything coming up. So take care of your body. Just, you know, be smart about it.
Yeah. So, you know, like you were saying before about the choice and the chance, you know, you've worked it really well. I mean, those athletes are still taking that choice, you know what I mean? They're not thinking, oh, we'll sit back and you know, hopefully it'll be okay.
You know what, brother, there's a thing, you know, there's, you know, everyone talks about goals. Everybody talks about your whole life. Everyone says you need a goal. From the time we're kids, you need a goal. Taekwondo, white belt, yellow belt. Everyone has these goals. But, you know, in a strange way, I think that is so overused. And when I sat down, again, 2 months ago with my guys, I said, you know what? Forget about your goals. I saw everyone's face, you know, kind of pop up. When I was on there with 100 people, like, forget about your goals. And they're like, everyone's like, what the heck is this dude talking about? I go, the problem with a goal is it's an exterior motivator. It's out here. It's a tournament. It's a trophy. It's a medal. It's a business. It's money. It's exterior. But when that goal is gone, and right now our main goals of competing are gone, what do you have left internally? So I flipped the words, goal for growth. Growth. Guys, growth is an internal thing. Growth stops when you die. Yeah. Right? Not when the day ends, not when the session ends, not when the competition ends. So I know it's a play on words and we definitely need goals for our growth and vice versa. But I've shifted the focus to say your growth, your internal drive, your internal fortitude has to be what gets you up every day. Because we get on this calls, I put out my computer outside and I'm out here, I have a little pool. I get here and I start teaching them. I can't tell if they're really kicking hard. I can't tell if there's really look on their face. Yeah. So that has to be your personal growth. So, you know, I always talk about choice and not chance, you know, but I flipped the switch a little bit about the growth because it's just more of an internal motivation and you can control that. You can choose, you can make that choice. So it's been powerful for me and for my athletes.
Sounds great. I really like it. Yeah, I like that. No, thank you. I like that one. Yeah. Well, Coach Moreno, I know you're a busy man. So as much as I'd love to keep asking you questions all day, I better let you on with your day. But really, thank you so much for this interview. I've thoroughly enjoyed, you know, doing this and looking into your life of Taekwondo as a legend, to be honest. I wish you all the best and your athletes continued success as well. And once again, thank you very much. It's been really enjoyable.
I was, you know, very happy and honored when, you reached out to me, you know, via Instagram and you're like, hey, I'm over here. I'm like, wow, it's a big honor for me. And I want to leave one thing because I think a lot of people look at me as a coach and as an athlete and they kind of, you know, they view me in that world, but you know, I'm a people's person. And I like to leave you with a quote that I read in a book. There's a famous American basketball coach here. And he's, the guy's wrote tons of books and a lot of educational systems use his books on leadership and motivation. His name is John Wooden. And back in the day, he coached UCLA Bruins. And he was a man of character. And that's why I love him so much. And I try to give, and I think that you will get. And one of the things he said about character was he said, pay more attention to your character than your reputation, because your character is who you really are and your reputation is who people think you are. And in this day and age, and the cool phone and the cool clothes and whatever it is, we're all worked about our reputation, what car we drive, you know, what hotel we stay at. And I get it. I get wanting those material things, because I certainly do. I mean, I work every day for these things that I have. But at the end of the day, I think it's about character. And I like to surround myself with people of a high quality of character, people that know discipline and respect, people that have good culture. You know, you asked me about my business. I could have more people, but I would be compromising the character that I believe in people. So, you know, I have great people around me, successful people around me, but good people around me. It's the same thing with the athletes. So yes, I'm a coach. Yes, I develop athletes. Yes, I want excellence. Yes, I want Olympic gold medals. But it sounds crazy, but not before character, because character, again, is an internal thing, and it lasts a lot longer than just the gold medal. So, and I like to lead with that, just because, again, I think in this day and age in society, I think we can all use a little bit more character and not just reputation.
Yeah, no, great. Yeah, thank you very much. All
right.
Wise words, you know, very good.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. We'll have to do something again. Whenever you need anything, you please let me know, and we'll get back at it. All right.
Thank you very much. That's great.
Right.
Thank you. Okay, we'll see you again.
Thank you.